According to Naira metrics, not less than 6 loan projects have been approved, and they include loans for power, that's $750 million, women empowerment, $500 million, girls' education, $700 million, renewable energy, $750 million, economic stabilization reforms, $1.5 billion, and resource mobilization reforms, $750 million. According to findings by Nairametrics. Also, the World Bank may approve 4 loan projects totaling $2 billion for Nigeria this year. If approved, Nigeria will have secured a total of $4.25 billion in loans from the bank this year alone, and a cumulative $6.95 billion under the administration of President Bola Tinubu. To help us make sense of this, we're joined by Chartered Accountant Aki Fatunke. Aki, it's good to see you again. More borrowing for Nigeria. A breakdown by Nairametrics indicates we are not, stepping down from borrowing. So what was your initial reaction to the president's request?
That of cautious optimism, I dare say, because hope springs eternal from hearts that looks at things very positively. $2.2 billion. I think with the performance of Nigerian and Eurobond lately, the projected $1.7 billion that will come from there looks good, in my opinion. And if you match that with the Sukuk, that will give an approximately $500 million, we should be home and dry with the over $2 billion in borrowing. And clearly, the problem is not in borrowing. The problem is in what we use that borrowing to generate. And part of what I am hearing and what I'm perceiving is in the area of social investment to push in the pains that has come in the wake of the very harsh and very tough decisions to try and balance the Nigerian economy so that we can continue to tackle inflation, we can continue to strengthen the economic resilience, and hopefully we should be able to get the appropriate, this time around, peace between the monetary and the physical to take us to the high level. My other reaction quickly will be, how did we fare at the last count? So were we able to balance our books? Were we able to get efficiencies in our loan management? I want to say yes. In marginal relative terms, we were spending less to finance, our loans. Is it going to continue? Time will tell.
All right. I was going to ask you how this 2025-2027 MTEF aligned with President Tinubu's broader economic vision, but you seem to have a little bit more optimism. So I'll just go ahead and ask, what are the expected macroeconomic assumptions? For instance, the GDP growth, inflation, exchange rates, and the likes that underpin this request, and how will these assumptions be monitored and perhaps adjusted over the framework period?
You and I, Felicity, and the Nairametrics inclusive, NGOs, National Assembly must stay on our tenterhooks to make sure we act as discipline to ensure this is going according to plan. So, for instance, the oil benchmark has been pegged at $75 per barrel. It looks reasonable on the assumption that we do not have any major disruption in the Niger Delta. And we see a bit of promise from the political actors who may don't die upside down. Tantina has come clearly to say that, look, President Bola Tinubu is asking that we should now be gunning for 2.06, which is the assumption that we have. We're 2 million barrels per day, when we are now doing about 1.6, 1.8, also looks reasonable, under the assumption that we are not going to get any major disruption. We are not getting any other future chunks outside the shores of Nigeria that will do that. The GDP growth rate at 4.6% in my mind looks quite very ambitious. It beats the IMF revised projection, which has come down slightly. And with the slow nature of the response that we are getting, if you ask me, from the macroeconomic policies, which is still squeezing itself within the cracks, that might be a tall tale. Hopefully, let's see how that pans out. And don't forget that for the second quarter, I think we did about 3.19%. That was a major jump. Are we going to be able to sustain that for the last quarter and the third? Again, we'll try and see how that pans out. Yes.
All right, quickly, so we wrap up. What steps would you suggest be taken to ensure that the MTEF promotes fiscal discipline while avoiding excessive borrowing that could strain future budgets?
Pure and simple. Discipline. Watch over our expenditures very closely. Also, make sure that the turbulence that might come from the political, I use the word political, from political to political actors, is stemmed in good time so that they don't erupt beyond and the kind of expectation. I'm going to be looking at this budget that has been presented and the MTP details to see if we are going to be seeing extraneous factors that shocks the eyes and hurts the mind by way of executive recklessness. Let me put it that way. There shouldn't be any padding of salt. It should be clear. We should be going for prioritized projects and not what you want to describe as I
guess we should end with your cautious.
We should not be seeing, for instance, again, the repetitive thing about presidential jets, yachts.
Yeah, I guess let's go with your earlier optimistic note, cautious optimism that there will be more discipline this time around. We'll have to leave it there.
I hope so.
Thank you, Akin, as always, for speaking with us.
Thank you very much, Felicity. Always a pleasure.